Today, we're going to take a look at this sketch by Shayla Lee and clean up the code a little bit with an emphasis on code readability. This sketch was made in JavaScript using the P5.js library for the drawing and the Tweakpane library to create this user interface. It draws a face that is user configurable. There are sliders for tiredness, smile, face width, and face height. You can also control the background color. Both the before and the after code are linked in the video description. You might want to read through the before code before you watch the video. First thing I want to do is revise the names of the global variables. Eyes and mouth are arrays, so I want them to have plural noun names. And this variable has a good name, but it's abbreviated. For global variables, I like to spell out my names. After each edit, I want to make sure the sketch still works. Canvas size is a global constant. I'm going to move it to the top, and I'm going to change its name to be in all caps. In Preload, Shayla is using for loops to loop over all of the assets and load them into the array. This is a pretty clean approach, and I'm going to keep it this way. Setup creates the canvas and then configures P5, setting the image mode to center. This translate call won't have any effect because P5 resets the transformation matrix before draw is called. Here, Shayla makes several calls to push and pop. Push and pop save and restore the P5 drawing settings. It's a good practice to use push and pop whenever you change the settings so that those changes won't interfere with code elsewhere in your sketch. But here, we don't really need them. First, calling image doesn't change any of the P5 drawing settings, so wrapping image and push and pop is unnecessary. And wrapping all of this drawing and push and pop is unnecessary also because the only settings we're changing are the translation and scale, and P5 resets those transformation matrix settings every time draw is called. Let's run tidy on this to properly indent the code. Here, scale is called twice, once to scale the face width and once to scale the face height, but we can do this in one call. This would be a good time to make sure that everything is still working properly. Looks good. Next, I'm going to change nose to also be an array. This is a small thing. I'm not sure it's better, but I do like that it will be more consistent with the way eyes and mouth are loaded and work. All right, that looks good for the JavaScript. Let's take a look at the HTML. There's not much in this HTML. This sketch doesn't use the P5 sound add-on, so we don't need to load it. Last, let's look at the images. Some of the images begin with an uppercase letter and some begin with a lowercase letter. I'm going to rename those to start with lowercase letters. I'm also going to add an underscore between the name and the number. Now I need to adjust the JavaScript. Finally, let's also add a comment at the top to describe the sketch. That's it. Now the code is a little bit cleaner and it should be easier to add new features to this sketch.